Russian convoys, often under the guise of humanitarian aid, have been flowing into eastern Ukraine regularly since the start of the conflict. Far from carrying relief for the besieged Ukrainian citizens of the Donbas region, these convoys instead carry Russian arms and equipment. This is the first of the so-called humanitarian convoys to eastern Ukraine from Russia. 145 trucks crossed the border into uncontrolled Ukrainian territory in August 2014 without any kind of agreement with the Red Cross in Kyiv. Journalists, including Sean Volker of the British Guardian, Andrew Roth of the American New York Times, and Timur Alevsky of the Russian TV Rain or Dozht, noted that before crossing the checkpoint, the convoy was twice as large. However, half the trucks in the convoy did not reach it. Instead, the journalist recorded a column of armored vehicles entering controlled Ukrainian territory. A column of armored personnel carriers, 23 vehicles, one broke along the way, passed through Donetsk absolutely in the open after sunset. My colleagues, for example, from Foreign Papers, assure us that they were following the column by car and the GPS told them that they are already in Ukrainian territory, while the column continued on its way. The Kremlin has since sent more than 60 similar convoys to Ukraine, which amounts to almost 7,000 trucks with mysterious contents. Initially, all of the vehicles entered the country by roads. Beginning in January 2016, the railway connection with the occupied territories was restored, and the railway transportation became the most actively used method. Military echelons transported vehicles, ammunition, and fuel needed for the operation of the Occupational Army Corps. I mean that now the railway is used to transport whole trains of ammunition. Platforms with vehicles, passenger cars with soldiers. Then again, ammunition and soldiers get here by wheeled transport as well, including those humanitarian convoys. The supply line mainly goes through the Izvarenie, Gukova, and Quibisheve border crossing point, which were captured by Russia. The transportation is done at night because the OSCE monitoring mission does not work at that time. Moreover, it is easier to avoid detection by Ukrainian reconnaissance or by the local populace, which often reports the sightings of the Russian occupational army. According to Ukrainian army scouts, during the last year alone, the Kremlin has supplied the hybrid forces in the Donbas with more than 19,000 tons of ammunition. In February, after the escalation of the fighting near Avdiivka and in the direction of Mariupol, we have found around 1.5 tons of ammunition delivered right into our country. This is confirmed data. Since the beginning of March, the enemy has begun to transport multiple rocket system munitions for the BM-21 Grad missile system. At the same time, the Kremlin uses the Donbas as a combat testing ground for the latest developments of the Russian military-industrial complex. Evidence for this claim abounds. In the summer of 2014, a Ukrainian aerial surveillance and photography airplane, an AN-30, was shut down over Slavyansk. The pilots managed to evacuate. He was hit by the Manpad's Verba system. Manpads are portable anti-aircraft missile systems. This took place in early June. On June 7th, according to regulatory documents, this Manpad Verba system was only to go into service at the Ivanovo division of the airborne troops of the Russian Federation. Deliveries from Russia also include small arms with bullets previously unknown to Ukrainians, new drones, and electronic warfare devices. In fauna, Svet KU, and Resident are systems of electronic warfare. That is, all the newest means which are used by the Army of the Russian Federation from 2010 to 2014. They use our territory as proving grounds. We did not produce this equipment. It was not even on our territory until the start of Russian aggression. The Russian occupational forces do not hesitate to flaunt Russian equipment even at public parades in occupied Ukraine. In addition to new equipment, Russia is also actively transporting old equipment to the occupied territories, and the area has become a dumping ground for outdated Soviet munitions. This is all actively used. This way, Russia is also utilizing its ammunition, including its own human material, say, the unnecessary material. And here they are getting rid of their old technology. Up to a third of the old shells used so far in the conflict in eastern Ukraine have not exploded, and thousands of them remain in the ground. Demolition experts and sappers will need many years to find and neutralize them. Even after the end of the conflict, the echo of the war will sound for decades in mines, forests, and fields of Ukraine.